Yo, you planning on starting a t-shirt business? Let me see if I can help you out. What's happening, everybody? Your boy Big Brando, and today we're gonna be talking about starting a t-shirt business today. Meaning you were probably thinking about doing it, you're on YouTube searching up how to do it. I wanna try to help the thinking process out and try to get you guys to wrap your minds around some of the things you might be facing and some of the things you haven't asked yourself yet. Now, if this is your first time watching me, a little bit of background about myself. I've been making t-shirts and selling t-shirts since the 90s. I started out screen printing, and now if you watch my channel, you know that I use a heat press and transfers. I've done everything from owned and operated print shops, printing from home, printing out of my garage, to leasing big warehouses, to running my own retail store, selling t-shirts online, and printing for big corporate accounts. Now, I say all that to say, I don't know everything about this business, but what I do know is I made a ton of mistakes, but I've also found a few things to work for myself to see a little bit of success in this business. So I want to try to help you guys out. Now, if you found this video, it's because you've been thinking about starting a t-shirt business. Maybe you've seen a lot of videos on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram of other people using a heat press and transfers and making good money. And you're probably asking yourself, hey, I could do that. This seems like a good way to make a little bit of extra money on the side. And now you're in the research process of starting your t-shirt business. There's two big things that you got to remember. This is where a lot of people get hung up on or start to confuse themselves. When you're starting this business, you're either starting it to print for other people, meaning you operate as a print shop. Somebody says, I need a dozen shirts for a bachelor party, or I need 72 t-shirts for a family reunion. Or somebody might say, I just need 2 t-shirts because me and my brother are gonna go to Disneyland. This means you're printing for other people. We call this contract printing, and it's basically you operating as a print shop, right? Doesn't matter where you're operating from. You could be doing this from your dining room, living room, bedroom, garage. Doesn't matter where you're at. This means you're gonna be taking in orders from people, printing for them, and working towards a deadline. Now, on the other side, there's people that operate as a clothing brand, meaning you're gonna make a bunch of designs and you're gonna sell them at a retail price, meaning you create the design, you print the t-shirt with your design on it, and you sell it to the public. Is basically you operating as a clothing brand. Now, you're probably thinking of 2 of those options, or if not both of those options, to make some money. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I highly recommend is choosing one of those things and putting all of your focus and energy into that one thing. Can both of those types of businesses work? Yes, they can, but it gets very confusing when you're trying to do both right out the gate. And I'm speaking from experience. I have a retail store, I have a print shop in the back. I used to do the same exact thing. I would print for myself for my retail store. This is my own branded stuff. These are my designs. This is what I'm selling for retail. But also, I was taking in a lot of work and I had a lot of clients that I would print for also, because I have the equipment to do both. I have a heat press, I have access to transfers, I have an embroidery machine. I could be stitching hats for myself, stitching hats for clients. I could be pressing shirts for myself, pressing shirts for clients. But when you're trying to get both of those types of businesses off the ground, because they are 2 separate businesses, it gets pretty hard. So in order to eliminate the headaches, I always suggest to anybody that asks, pick one and get that one off the ground first. As that one is rolling and you're making some money, now you can use the money that you're making from whatever business you started to start funding the other business. So let's say you wanted to just get a heat press and start making some money, making custom t-shirts for people and printing for other people. Easy way to make some money. As you get your reps in, you're pressing some shirts for people, you start to figure out your process. Now you understand what works and what doesn't work for you. The money's rolling in. Now you can use that money to start funding the brand that you wanted to start also. You have the custom business and you're operating as a print shop already, and now you can start putting out your branded merch, stuff that you wanted to create, designs that you've been working on that you wanted to sell. But it's really about bringing in the money first and locking down your process. Now, let's say you don't even care about printing for others and you just wanted to start your own brand. There's nothing wrong with that. You go all in on the brand. Now you're putting out your designs, you're figuring out how to market your stuff to the people, and you start bringing in money that way. But let's say a few months from then, you're like, you know what? There's a lot of people that found out that I make t-shirts and now they're asking me to make their shirts. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have the time and the bandwidth, you could start taking in that type of work also while running your brand. But when you try to do both things at the same exact time, you get confused, because now you're like, do I need to open up 2 different Instagram accounts? Because if I'm putting up my own branded merch, but I need to start marketing my print shop, the name of my brand doesn't go with the print shop, and you're basically answering all of your questions for you right then and there yourself. So instead of trying to do both things out the gate, Focus on one thing, get that business off the ground, and then circle back and start working on the other option. Because you can run both at the same time, it's just very difficult to do both when you're first starting out. Think about where the money's gonna come in the fastest first. Before you buy your heat press, you probably already thought, who can I print for? If I bought this, how am I gonna pay this thing off? How am I gonna see a return on this investment? How can I get to the money the quickest? When you're planning out your business, those are all easy, good questions to ask yourself. So create the plan. How are you gonna get to the money the quickest? If you're printing for other people, start figuring out now, before you even buy your heat press, who you can actually be printing for, who can benefit from your services. And don't just say the world, be realistic with yourself. Really think about it. Start thinking about your friends and family, not who's gonna help me build the business, but who can actually benefit from my services. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're offering. When you operate as a print shop, you're not selling t-shirts, you're selling your services. So who can benefit from your services? Right now, think about that. Who can I start printing shirts for? Who can actually benefit from me to be a client of mine? Do you have friends and family who maybe have a plumbing business, or own a restaurant, or is a barber, or maybe a tattoo artist, or do they run a summer camp? Or are you or somebody from your family a member of a church that could benefit from fundraiser t-shirts? All of these things are ideas for people that you can approach to start making t-shirts for. Does somebody in your family play high school football or high school basketball or high school sports in general? Or do they just play sports at the park? Because you can start tapping into people there. I'm not talking about making the jerseys for them, but I'm talking about actually making t-shirts for the fans who are the family members of the kids playing sports. You could start selling custom t-shirts to the moms, aunts, grandmas, dads who are there in the bleachers cheering on their kid. And you can make shirts that have their last name and that kid's number on there to show their support. There's a ton of different ways to actually sell your services. You just have to sit down and actually think about it now. Now, if you're starting a clothing brand, you got to ask yourself the same exact question. What kind of clothing brand am I trying to make? These ideas that I have in my head where I'm like, yo, somebody should be making shirts like this because I'd buy it. Who else is like you that would buy that kind of stuff? And once again, don't just say the world's gonna buy this stuff. Be very specific. Get into the weeds and get detailed on who you actually want to create t-shirts for. Who's the brand for? What's the brand's mission? Not just cool t-shirts, but you actually have to think about the people that are gonna spend their hard-earned money on these t-shirts, because when you're running a brand, you're no longer selling your services, you're selling a product. You're selling the t-shirt. So think about who you're gonna sell the t-shirts to. Before you buy the heat press, before you buy anything, really plan that out. Write it all down. Think about who you're actually gonna create these designs for, who's gonna be buying your products, how are you gonna sell the products? Are you just doing it online? Are you planning on selling at night markets? Really plan all this stuff out, because all of this can be done for free before you purchase anything. Any blank t-shirt, any transfers, any piece of equipment, all of the stuff that I just talked about right now can be done right now while you're thinking about buying a heat press. Buying a heat press, learning how to use it, that's the easy part. Selling your t-shirts, selling your services, that's the hard part. So I highly recommend everybody to start putting on the thinking cap early before they purchase any piece of equipment. Really think about the business and plan it out. That way you have a plan to stick to start seeing profits early. Majority of the people on YouTube are gonna say, hey, buy this heat press, buy this blank t-shirt, buy these transfers. And the first thing you're gonna do is like, yeah, that's right, I'm gonna buy all this stuff right here. But once you buy this stuff, it's just gonna sit in the boxes in your living room, because you're not gonna know how to sell the t-shirts or sell your services. So I'm telling you now, before you purchase anything, think about that part. How are you gonna make the money? My job isn't to put you in debt in buying anything. My job here on YouTube is try to help you get to the money the quickest way possible. And the best way to do it is start planning early. Just because you don't have a heat press now doesn't mean there aren't other things you can do for your business while you're saving up for that heat press or doing research on a heat press. You can be planning your business strategy now. And that's what I highly recommend to anybody getting into this, is know before you go. Meaning, understand what you're getting yourself into so you can prepare yourself better, so once you actually start investing into the business, into yourself, you got a solid idea on, all right, this is what I thought about. Now let's put the plan into motion. buy the heat press, buy the blank t-shirts, buy the transfers. Let's get this thing rolling. Instead of buying the equipment first and then playing catch up afterwards. Make your life a lot easier by planning everything out, so by the time you get your equipment in, you're off and running. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many people hit me up after they go out and they buy all the equipment that come to my comments and are like, hey, now that I bought everything, how do I make some money? How do I pay this stuff off? And I asked them, why'd you buy this? Or what was the plan in buying all this? And they're like, well, I just wanted to make t-shirts. That's fine if you just want to make t-shirts, but we're here to actually make some money. So before you waste money on anything, plan it out a little bit. Understand what you're getting yourself into and understand how you're gonna pay all this stuff off and get to the money. Now, if you have any questions about anything that I just talked about here, I have a playlist for you. It's free. It's on my channel already. It's called Back to Basics. It breaks down everything from equipment to blank t-shirts to understanding transfers to marketing to pricing. Everything is laid out for you in video form in that playlist. I highly recommend it. Actually, I'll link it in the description box for you. It'll take you straight there, and watch the videos. That way it'll give you a better understanding on what you're getting yourself into. And after you watch that playlist, if you still have questions, come back here, drop it in the comments for me. Don't send me a DM or email or private message or anything. I see comments first before anything. If you want your questions answered, it's always easier to ask those questions in the comments. I hope this information right here helps somebody out there. I hope it sparks the interest in people and sheds a little bit of light on the actual business and not just on the, hey, buy your equipment from the links in my description or buy your equipment from me and so I can make some money off of you. Nah, forget all that. Before you buy anything, heat presses, blank t-shirts, transfers, embroidery machines, what have you, really plan the business out first. It's free to do. It requires a lot of thinking, but at the end of the day, set yourself up for success, all right? If you wanted to see how I run my business, I have it here on YouTube, but I also have it on Instagram. That's where you see me working in my shop, pressing shirts, doing all that good stuff. You can follow me on Instagram if you wanted to, at Big Brando TV. Till then, catch you guys on the next one, man. Yeah.